Hello everybody and welcome, my name is Ursa and this is my up-to-date deity guide for Civ 6. I hope everybody's doing good. Come to Discord, grab the save file, play along with me because I'm going to be teaching you in an incredibly detailed way how to beat deity in 2023. Now you might have seen a bunch of my other deity guides that I've done over the years. I've done all victory conditions and more importantly, I played this exact map. The base game, Six-Armed Snowflake. Now this is a map that is on every edition of Civ, whether you play on console or not. You may also remember that I did a guide on this map specifically with Nubia as I decided to show everybody how achievable deity was on a map that was pretty balanced and with no set victory condition. It was a lot of fun. We have, however, had a bunch of updates to the game and more importantly, a new set of leaders, and I was thinking, you know what? One of the ways to really teach Civ 6 is to teach what to do on a game where really you're kind of like not any advantage, I guess is the best way I could put it. It doesn't rely on city-states, it doesn't rely on spawns, and more importantly, it doesn't rely on anyone around you, any Civ spawning, any alliances, none of that, because we now have Tokugawa. Now, I've already played a playthrough with him and his fantastic Japanese empire, and all the way through, I was thinking, wow, this is a Civ to teach people how to beat deity with. Not because of his abilities and how strong he is, no, but because he is a very good isolation Civ. It means that you can do what you want to do and play the game in your own way reliably. And this is the thing, we are going to reduce as much random variable in this game as we can so that I can teach you how to play a base deity game. If you've never played a deity victory before, or never achieved one, I can guarantee if you follow this video, you will be able to do it as well. I massively advise you do. If you are a deity expert and you've done it before, feel free to watch and let me know in the comments if there's anything I've missed or if you've got any explanations or advice for other players. Remember, if you do, come to Discord because it's a really good place to chat with other people. And if you're one of the elite extraordinaires, well, you know, you can probably judge what I'm doing because you're really good at this game. I'm going to be going through as much detail as I can as we go through the game, and I'm going to be explaining in quite some detail, so yeah, I really hope you enjoy. Remember, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do. It makes a huge difference. 2022 was a massive year for me, and it was mainly because people were subscribing in such crazy numbers, so thank you again for that. Remember as well, I do have a tip jar on coffee if you've got any coffee for me. Let's just get into this. Tokugawa. I believe you should learn to play this Civ because it will teach you how to beat deity, and it's reliably good at it because of the domestic trade routes that you can pick up in your Civ. As well as that, having the Meiji restoration is really handy as well. It teaches you how to put districts down together in order to maximize a condensed, independent empire. I cannot recommend them enough. I'll be explaining all of the abilities of Japan as we go along, but first of all, we need to talk about the game generally. What are we going to try and do? Now, I've spoken before about playing Civ with a science start, a culture start, a faith start. Today, I'm going to be teaching you how to run an economic start. Now, an economic start is basically a start that relies on the accumulation of trade routes early into the game. We want to be getting things like the commercial hub and harbors in order to get those juicy trade routes going as quickly as we can. Now, those trade routes specifically stack with the Bakuhan ability, which is the unique ability for Tokugawa, and it's amazing how effective this ability is. It doesn't really rely on going too crazy heavy on science or industry or culture or faith or any of those things. No, it is all economically trade focused. I'm also going to be teaching you about what I like to call the Pingala Magnus setup. Now, I see a lot of chat and a lot of guides about whether or not a Magnus or a Pingala start is good for you. Pingala start, broadly speaking, means that you're putting like 4 governor titles down in Pingala as quickly as you can. You pop the first one in, you get 15% extra science and culture in a city, which is a big bonus, but then you get 1 culture per turn and 1 science per turn for each citizen in the city. A big population Pingala capital, for instance, can give you tons of science and culture. That either stacks on top of the city and all of its bonuses because you've got a campus or a theatre square, for instance, or you can use it to fill in a deficit of your empire. It kind of works both ways. But just as importantly, grants then population gives you double great people points, and that is very useful early game to accumulate some of those juicy writers or merchants, whatever you're going for. Now, broadly speaking, Pingala is the start I favour, but what we're going to be doing is we're also going to be doing Magnus kind of at the same time, and the Magnus start all involves the provision promotion. You only need 2 governors on Magnus, but provision lets you train settlers without consuming population. That 0 population consumption when making settlers stacks very nicely with the colonization card. Now this gives you 50% production towards settlers and is unlocked at early empire, but then also once you have a government, you get the government plaza and you can pick up the delicious ancestral hall. Now this also gives you 50% production towards settlers in the city. This is a really handy setup. It means that you are producing at 100% production towards settlers, you don't take population, and you get a free builder every time they pop out. It's a really good combination, especially because the government plaza and then the ancestral hall both give you a governor promotion, and they basically pay for themselves. They give you the 2 promotions you need for Magnus. You'll also note that you get 1 at state workforce, 1 at early empire, as well as 1 at defensive tactics and 1 at recorded history. Those are the 4 you need for Pingala. Now the joy of the 6-pronged snowflake map is you can practice it because it's the same every time. It's a really good one for us to learn. There are a few starts that I have seen on this, and the AI does it differently to you. Firstly, we can head towards the coast. Now that means you can look to possibly put a harbour down on this time tile and make use of the 2 fish that are there. You can see with Japan, every single district gives a full standard adjacency for being next to another district, so already that harbour would be at a lovely +5. It's not a bad start, but it does take you away from the mountain range in the middle, and that's where we want to be chucking our campuses. Settling in place is a decent start. It leaves us within range of the mountain range, and we've also got access to all of the fish that we can see. But the starting yields are a little bit lacking, to be honest. We could cross the river and use the faith tile really quickly to rush a pantheon, although I like to basically just work that tile on natural growth, but you know, on a personal preference. Or we move inland and make advantage of more of the land itself. Now we don't start with much land, we need to make use of the land that we have. I'm going to be running this start on basically a settle in place. All of the starts are pretty good. You could argue anyway. I'm going to go this one because I think it's fairly decent. I want to remain within range of the mountain range, and I don't want to push too far in because I want to put as many cities on this little area as I can. So settle in place we shall, and we shall get my warrior out to go and explore. Now, getting our first settler out as quickly as we can is going to be a very important thing, but scouting around is also equally important. We want to find as many tribal villages as we can. I'm not going to be playing this as a particularly faith game. Now, getting religion is always a good move in Civ, but it's a little bit randomized, and I'm going to be teaching you how to not use it today. So we're going to rush instead the campus. The campus is obviously a district that gives you access to more science and is a very handy thing to run early game to get you teched up and up to either commercial hubs or harbours as soon as we can. So we'll go pottery. Pottery is always a good start. Now there are different tactics with starting warriors and whether or not you send them really far away from your land or whether you keep them close to your capital in regards to barbarians. Barbarians suck. If you have no improvements around your capital and your capital is your only city, barbarians don't really matter because they can never take your capital. If however you have extra cities or improvements, then yes, probably keeping close is a good thing, but we're going to go out and see what we can do. Did I mention that we're not using any go modes and that it's deity and standard speed? I just assume you all know this already, but I probably should have explicitly said that, never mind. Now, when you are defeating early game barbarians, it's good to not rush things. Ideally, if you're next to them, you want to take high ground or stand in forest so that if they do counterattack, you have a little bit of advantage against them. And there is no harm in just taking your time. Until you get battle cry, you are not very strong. So if you see yourself on yellow health, I would just wait a couple turns. You don't heal fast outside of land, but the barb encampment's not going anywhere, and you might as well just be a little bit careful. Now at population 2, you can see that because of the start I had, I got a scout out exactly when I got my second population. It means I can get a settler going as well, and I'm working the faith. Pantheon time is on the way already. We want to get this settler out as soon as we can. There is pottery. We're going to rush straight to writing, and you can see 3 attacks. If you make 3 attacks with a warrior, you will get a level. I would always go battle cry early game. It helps you to defeat other barbarians. And the sooner you get out, the sooner you can find starting city-states. Hopefully, we'll be the first to find at least one. Jerusalem. Okay, I have not changed this game in terms of which city-states start. That is going to be very much randomized for us today. A faith city-state is a really, really good thing. And actually, they wanted me to defeat the barbarian encampment, so that's a really handy thing. Scrap that. They wanted me to inspire military tradition, which was to kill a barb outpost, so we did that really nicely. The faith city-states give you the extra faith per turn. It means that you can rush towards that early game pantheon nice and soon. At this point, you'll see there is a barbarian outpost that has appeared the other side of Tokyo. Now, I am a little bit more afraid of that because we do have a settler now, so this warrior is going to make its way back as my scout goes to explore the map further. You can see the barbarian encampment has found me. They have sent a scout, they have found my capital, and they will be returning. That's not a good thing. It is a good thing that we are sending my warrior there. Now, if you don't have a lot of faith per turn coming in, I would go God King. If you do, urban planning will give you the production to get that initial settler out quicker. Discipline helps keep your warrior alive as you're killing barbarians. Really handy. And this is where we get into the nitty-gritty. We need to start thinking about settlement spaces, and because of this little mountain complex, I already know that I want to set up a little bit of a triangle of science hubs. These campuses are going to be really handy for me. I also don't necessarily want to squish my capital in too much because I would like my capital to grow. So settling on the closest tiles may squeeze me just a little bit, although putting all of my districts together is a good thing as well. This is where you need to decide where your Pingala city is going to be and where your Magnus city is going to be. Your Pingala city needs a bit of space, and it also needs to grow. Big population. Your Magnus city equally needs to grow, but ideally you want to be able to chop out a little bit of population and a little bit of settler spawn as well. So all of this rainforest tile, for instance, that can all be chopped. So I'm thinking putting my Magnus city down on the south coast over here. In order to make it work, I think I'm going to make something that looks a little bit like this. 1, 2, 3, 4 cities. It's a not very efficient way of getting housing because I'm not settling on fresh water, but don't worry, aqueducts will always fix that problem for you. And as you can see, we have plenty of spots for aqueducts. I'm going to be putting them down in this arrangement just so that the aqueducts are closer to Tokyo. I want to be able to put all of my districts into a nice space. We also want to go and settle as close as we can towards the middle of this map. Getting out there quickly is going to be a big thing. In order to do that, we want to grow quickly, we want to put roads down, and because Tokugawa's ability is all about trade routes, we're going to be going down the bottom of this tree to start with, unlocking traders as soon as we can with foreign trade. Having thought about it, I think Magnus in this city is the one that I want to do. I think this is going to be a good place, and I'm going to put an industrial zone on this tile in order to make good use of the aqueduct that I'm planning on building. To make that work, I'm going to put the government plaza down in the Magnus city, because this is going to be a place to trade with. Eventually, Magnus is going to get given the surplus logistics card. All traders going to that city will get 2 food. This is a very good synergy with Tokugawa. You can also see there's going to be a lot of chopping to do in these areas, but that I'm looking forward to. That should be a really, really good thing for me. Now, the good thing about this map always being quite similar is that you know where Singi is always going to be and all of the other natural wonders. I also know by going in this direction, and I'm going to get at least a little bit of era score from finding people. Now, if we can find all the people in the ancient era, I'm going to get a nice golden age. That'd be quite nice. So one little trick to think about is when the barbarians spawn and they start to kick out units, because unfortunately I have been spotted in Tokyo, what you want to do is defend. Defending against barbarians is a lot better. You get fortification bonus, they get a penalty for attacking you into rainforest, and you can hold your ground better. Now, unfortunately, there's another warrior that has just spawned there. I'm getting a lot of defensive bonus, but they have a lot of units and they have outnumbered me very quickly here. So I'm going to pull back a little bit. This is a hill and a rainforest. It gives me even more defensive bonus from being on it. My scout, by the way, just discovered Mount Kilimanjaro, the second wonder, so we will be getting alpine very quickly. I always go alpine on my scouts. I like moving through hill better than I like moving through woods and jungle. Namely because you can see more from the tops of them and it's a useful thing. Oh, I am being chased down. Okay, we're going to go a little bit further back. That means I can only get attacked from 2 tiles at the same time. Okay, fortify. This is a good place to defend. There's the Great Barrier Reef, and here is Egypt. Interesting. Okay, Egypt like to see offensive or defensive armies, like very strong military strength, and they like people that trade with them as well. Now, I'm going to ask to see their capital because it gives me a really good understanding, and I didn't actually check how far on writing I had got. Ideally, I probably should have worked that a little bit more optimized, but never mind. Next up, I like going animal husbandry to unlock horses. Gives you just a little bit more production on the map when they appear. Now, they're probably going to attack me, but you can see, look at that. They took 53 damage for my 19 there. This is a really, really good way of fighting barbs. Now, when you first meet the AI, it's always worth having a look to see how unfriendly they are. On Deity, they take a random penalty from like -2 to -8. If I send a delegation for 25 gold, I will get +3. If it is more than -3, then there is no point selling a delegation because they will denounce you anyway, because even though you've wasted the money, they will not like you. It is not worth it. It feels mean, but what can you do? There you go, look, they denounced me. So if I'd sent them delegation, it wouldn't have made a difference. Now you can see the barbs are beginning to come into this direction. I'm going to see if I can slip my settler out before the barbs arrive, but getting myself a defensive force here is actually now fairly important. If they start to swarm Tokyo, I can get a slinger in, which I'm going to do, but I do want to put my campus down, and I want to put it down on that tile, but I'm going to have to spend about 130 gold doing it, which means I need to hard work the slinger. I can't buy and also get the slinger in, so we'll have to work that manually. I'm also keeping an eye on my warrior. I want them to stay alive ideally. You can see now that I've lost a little bit more health, yeah, I'm going to start falling back now. I'm not going to be able to win that fight, but I've done 150 damage or so to the barbs. Quite effective. And as you can see, we did manage to get my settler round, and we can go and settle our second city nice and quickly. So when you pick up a Pantheon choice, there's a lot of decent options, and they really go from tile improvements to other generic barbarian improvements or to general city improvements. Now, if you're going for holy sites, I would always recommend going River Goddess. Those 2 amenities and housing, I mean, that is a really, really undervalued benefit that massively improves your cities. Divine Spark is also really good at getting some of those early game great libraries and scientists, especially if you see a scientist that gives you a 3 library. That can be very, very handy. If you see a 3 builder that gives you more growth speed, or a 3 settler, again, really, really good options for me. However, I don't want anything that basically forces me on the map to take one set of improvements over another. I always want to be able to chop things away, and I want to be able to put my districts down pretty much wherever I want to. So because of that, I don't want to be able to get stone or pasture or even fishing boat improvements, because I don't know what I'm going to keep and what I won't keep. I'm going to go for City Patron Goddess. 25% bonus production towards districts in cities without a specialty district. It means each city's first district gets a little bit of a bonus. Quite a sort of undervalued bonus, but a very effective one nonetheless. Oh, Coupe. Oh, thank goodness Coupe seems to have started and remained roughly where he began the game. Sometimes you can get some really, really central settles going. Again, we saw a -4, so very little point sending a delegation to Coupe that. Now, if I was feeling more secure, I would try and move my settle around and see if we could get closer to the middle of the map, but this, with the barbs at the beginning of the game, is always a risky thing to do. So I'm going to put my second settlement down on the coast there, get my warrior back and protect myself, and see if I can build my first campus. Don't forget, I get a lovely 25% bonus towards production. I've got a nice little tile. My city will grow to 2 housing pretty quickly. It's not a bad settlement for me at all. So even though this looks really, really bad, don't forget, barbarians around your capital, not a problem. Never a problem. They can't take the city. The Mayans. Okay, so the Mayans, if they appear, you've got someone very science heavy. Coupe tends to be very faith and culture, and Cleopatra, again, faith and culture. So we've got a bit of a range, actually, of opponents. Curtain, always very sciencey, very sciencey indeed. You can see he's actually over there, so he's exploring quite well. 17 science per turn and no great scientist points. Yeah, Australia's just doing Australia things this game. They are a very, very strong AI. So animal husbandry has unlocked horses for me, and you can see we have one source right next to Tokyo. It's a really lovely tile to work, and we will work it very nicely. I'm pretty sure it's the only source of horse apart from the center of the map. So yeah, we're going to a little bit of horses, but that's it. My slinger can now sit inside Tokyo and give me all of the defense that I need. I'm going to build just one more warrior. I think having a little bit more defensive strength will just let me push the barbarians back a little bit further. I don't want to waste my time going for the archery spam because I want to get sailing really quickly. Sailing will give me access to galleys. Galleys will get me on the sea, and I'll be able to settle by basically sending things around the coast. Very handy. Here is the first kill with the slinger, just sitting in my capital, boosting archery, boosting bronze working. There's a lot of good boosts for me there. And here is Greece. Very heavy on culture, Greece. But that's everyone as well. So we found everyone. We got 5 era score. If you're playing on this map, always a really, really handy thing to do. Very useful scout, that one. Now at this point, if you have managed to pick up 2 envoys as city-states, you have the option of going for mysticism. That unlocks a 3 envoy and means you can suzerain someone immediately. Very handy. I would suggest instead going for craftsmanship. You want to get down to the good stuff, to state workforce and government plazas as soon as you can, and doing that quickly will help. Oh, that's only a -3, so we could, in theory, try there to get ourselves a bit of friendship, but I'm going to actually spend my gold because I get to 135 exactly. I can buy these 2 tiles and give myself the opportunity to get that campus down. In fact, actually, I'm going to just switch over production and get that done as quickly as we can. The barbs might stop it a little bit, but with luck, we should be able to move my warrior and my slinger that I've already got to divert a little bit of resistance to go and clear that barb encampment. You see, Australia have actually managed to get to the center of the map immediately and very early on. It's a little bit frustrating. Ideally, you want to be as close to getting into the center of the map as you can and the quickest, but what are you going to do? Deity AI, they do things fast. This warrior sat on my campus rather annoyingly, so I'm going to just put a turn into making a trader. It's quite nice for me. I've got my units coming back to go and protect. Again, this time I'm taking a defensive position across the river. Gives me a big defensive bonus and also allows me to stay in my territory to heal. Goodness me, Australia has settled out very, very aggressively there. Where are they going to settle? Next to Singi, probably. There is sailing. It means I can get myself a galley. That is a very, very useful thing. Now we go mining to bronze working to not only unlock iron, but also to allow the chopping of rainforest. Again, a very handy thing indeed to find. Here is some era score for completing a +3 campus, and Tokyo is giving me a lot more science now. Exactly what we wanted to see. Perfect news. Now, the Mayans are a good people to meet if you're not right next to them, because you can declare friendship with them very, very early because you are not near them. Very, very easy to fulfill that one. Now, we've got 1 friend. I would always recommend getting some friends if you can. If nothing else, it means there are less people on the map that are going to backstab you. What else do you need in life? I'm also focusing on getting that trader up nice and quickly. Now, we want to get currency sooner rather than later, and I want to time currency actually with the make a trade route boost. This is a classical era tech, 144 science to unlock. It's a big, big ask. So we'll just take our time on that one. Oh, in Gazagamu. Okay, they have met me. Unfortunately, somebody's met me before. This is a city-state that allows you to use encampments to buy land and support units cheaper. Very handy late game if we choose to go a bit aggressive. And again, I'm specifically leaving this open. We're going for a bit of an economic start. Whether you take that into domination or science or culture is up to you. Here, however, is my warrior ready to go with my backup warrior, and our slinger will follow shortly after. We should be able to take out that barb encampment now. More importantly though, I want to start boosting my civics. Craftsmanship, I mean, I'm leaving 12 culture on the table if I hard finish that. So what we're going to do is switch to early empire. and get myself a builder. 6 turns and I can improve the horses and both of these wheat fields to improve Tokyo and get it growing fast. Now Pericles is very happy with me because I have not befriended city-states yet. Okay, I haven't actually had the option to, but again, take the friendships when you can. Australia actually likes me. We have to wait for the denunciation to expire in 17 turns, but they will be our friends as well. And Egypt kind of likes me, so that's both good and bad. We'll see how that plays out for me. Looks like Australia are trying to clear my Barb encampment for me. That's kind of them, but I need to defeat it. I wanted to get the era score before they did. If anything, I didn't need it for the Golden Age, but if you can avoid the AI getting era score, means they're less likely to get Golden Ages, and that really helps you in the long run, so go for it if you can. Now it's all about visibility. Don't let Barbs spawn again. Move your units out and explore and keep retention on as much of the map as you can. We want to make sure the AI has no ability to throw barbs at us that we can basically prevent. Now we have bronze working, we've revealed iron, like so. We have one source of it and there's some more in the middle of the map. Okay, good to know. Let's back that up now with currency. Hopefully this will time nicely with the trader that'll finish, and I can look to get commercial hubs down as quickly as possible. Now ideally I want to start improving this city a little bit more because I want the housing up so that I can put a commercial hub in this city as well. Although admittedly a harbour in this city would make more sense, I kind of like the idea of packing out a lot of the area in the centre of the map in order to make all of my districts a bit better. You can see an industrial zone there would already be +6, which is a big bonus. And I could also go commercial, commercial, commercial like that. Commercial hubs give you merchant points, and merchant points are generally better for games. Although admirals are also very useful, this has the benefit of providing me with a +6 campus if I, build that in that way. So it's worth hanging on to. That is not a bad idea. Now this is a bit of an opportunity. This is what we call the multiplayer sin, leaving a settler unescorted. Coupe has done just that. Now they have 275 military strength, and the problem with this specifically is that it would generate grievances. Coupe is kind of liked by the world right now. But for the promise of a 3-city in the middle of the map, you have to take your chances quite, rapidly. So we shall. We can always get rid of grievances later on. We might as well take the option. Now, this is the trick to any war you pull. Immediately go to anybody that is not with a grievance on you and offer for them to join the war. If you do this, not only does it give the AI some more options to basically kind of move their army around in other directions, but it also reduces grievances if you were to do anything. There is the settler. Now, unfortunately, there is a warrior here, but if we settle nice and quickly, we should be able to put ourselves down rapidly. Oh no, they have backed off immediately. Well now, that is nice. We can settle near Kilimanjaro. We have no loyalty penalties here right now. I'm going to settle on top of this cotton because it gives me a lovely 3 luxury as well as a bit of era score. Again, ideally I wanted to wait until next turn, but I do not want to take any chances here. Coupe could be around the corner, ready to provide me a lot of grief. My game success is all about getting Tokyo nice and big, nice and quickly. So there is an inspiration for horseback riding. We've got ourselves a little bit more production in Tokyo. I'm going to go immediately for a second builder. Between this builder improving this city and this builder improving this city, we should be able to boost our population up just a little bit. The world has entered a classical era, and we have a bit of a choice. Now, either I can just assume that my commercial hubs are going to be really on point, and I can go for 3 inquiry. Now, this means that I get extra science from Eurekas, which is a brilliant bonus in itself, but commercial hubs and harbours generating science from gold adjacency. For Japan, that is a massive, massive deal. I kind of want to go for inquiry. Monumentality is the other option. Really, I would suggest if you have a lot of faith income or you want to use your gold to stretch a bit further. Now, I want to be building settlers ideally. So at the moment, 3 inquiry is the one that is being pointed out to me as the better option. Exodus of Evangelists is a really good way of getting a religion if you do want a religion slightly later into the game. That's not the way we're going to take this playthrough. I'm going to go for inquiry. If nothing else, getting 10% additional boost to science every time you get a Eureka, that in itself is huge, especially if your yields beginning of the game are struggling a little bit. So for instance, look, normally you get 40%, which would be 16 science, but by putting this farm down, you can see that I boost 50% and get 20. I mean, it's not quite that, isn't it? It's giving me 19 out instead of 20. I feel cheated there. The game is definitely cheated on that one. Never mind. Oh, I just found a couple of city-states because they declared war on me because of Coupe. Never mind, we'll get them to back off in a second. Now, Kyoto is already starting to grow really nicely. Unfortunately, the Mayans have decided to settle near me, but this is a loyalty battle. It is a loyalty battle we shall win. I am currently working this tile there, but I could be working one of Mount Kilimanjaro's tiles for another 5 food. Benefit of that is the population growth in this city will be a lot faster if we can get our population really high. There we go. Look, already we can start putting decent loyalty pressure on, and the more loyalty pressure, the more chance we can just flip a city without having to do anything else. There's a barb encampment taken as well. I saw an opportunity, so I went through it. Always take your opportunities if you can. There's craftsmanship boosted with the 3rd promotion, and I'm going to switch, I think, to builders, although I am just about to start putting my production into a commercial hub. So maybe I'll hold off on that one for a bit. Now, this is where the trade routes start to kick in. 2 food, 1 production. That is the regular route for a domestic trade route. The 2 gold, 1 science, and 1 culture all starts to come from the Bakuham. And you get 1 installment of culture, science, and 2 gold for every specialty district at the destination. So that's the city you're sending it to. Currently, Tokyo has 1 district, the campus. It will soon have 2 in the commercial hub. So the question is, where do I want to put the extra food? If I want to grow the city to population 4 as soon as possible, ideally I want it there. However, if I want my capital to grow so that Pingala has more of an effect, I want the trader over in the other direction. Because I'm going to get 50% boost on currency when I put that trader down, I'm going to start working irrigation immediately. Irrigation gives me the opportunity to get things like tea. Lovely. Speaking of, spend to save. I'm going to offer to sell my cotton immediately. Ask for the gold up front, always a really handy thing to do. That's 214, and what I can do is immediately get myself a builder with that gold to then go and improve other luxuries. So effectively I've bought or sold a luxury in order to get a new one. This northern city is going to quickly get a granary because the housing capacity is a bit rubbish in it. It doesn't have enough, it's settled on the coast, it's got no fresh water. I want it to grow to get to full population to get that commercial hub down as quickly as possible. Oh, speaking of some fun, looks like Kilimanjaro is exploding already and has given me more yields on the 2 tiles that I'm working. Well, that is the risk and the reward of settling near Kilimanjaro. There's the Mercury. Can I sell it again? Yep, I can also sell that one. We're just going to keep selling these luxuries at the beginning of the game. I would always say it is worth selling luxuries, even if your cities are just getting a little bit unhappy doing so. The gold always pays off, in my opinion. So as promised, there we go. Here's the route ready to pop, and we'll put it down and start to get Tokyo going well. You can see the currency boost has given us the technology, and now we can build commercial hubs. Now, one thing I am considering is whether or not we go for a harbour in my second city or a commercial hub, because the harbour gives a lighthouse and lighthouse gives more housing, which will let this city grow a little bit. Now, obviously the granary will help with that. We have 2 sea resources that I can improve, which will give me celestial navigation, and we can build it from there. So I'm tempted to say a harbour is not a bad option to start with. In fact, I could put a commercial hub on that tile instead and put something else here. I don't know what it'll be yet. It's something. We'll find a use for this, whatever this is. Now you can see Australia is making a very early play for control of this continent, and they will pull it off. The more cities you can get in this central section, the faster you'll find the loyalty growth will be, and that is a very, very quick way of controlling it. But we can apply loyalty pressure ourselves, especially if Australia were to hit a dark age. So whilst I go to astrology and then into celestial navigation, I'm gonna think about a way of making this. In fact, actually, I might make this my Magnus city and then start to put settlers out from here. Could be a very clever way of doing it, actually. We have our first governor as well. And whilst I work on state workforce, I mean, Pingala is really the one I wanted to get first. But Magnus would let me take advantage of this area and let me put settlers down really quickly. Oh, always remember your open borders, by the way. If you sell open borders, you can make a lot of gold normally. Enough to get a settler. I can actually afford one next turn, I think. For me, Pingala is more important earlier on. So we will go Pingala to start with, but I'm going to pop them down into Tokyo, and then we'll get the science and the culture from that city. We need more loyalty in Kyoto, but we've got really good population growth there, so I'm hoping that should be fine. Next up, let's get the commercial hub down in Tokyo. More traders equal more trade routes, which equal more benefit. I also want to start bringing all of my traders back to a city that will improve my Japanese route. The more districts I have in a city, culture, science, and gold all goes up. It's perhaps not the best use of gold, but I'm gonna pick up another settler in Kyoto, and we're going to see if I can start settling around on this area. Loyalty is a bit of a problem, but the more cities I can get down, the more control I can have over this center of the continent. We are starting to meet a lot of city-states now, and they are all faith city-states. Very interesting. You want to keep an eye on what's going on the city-state game, because Kilwa, the wonder that you unlock at machinery, can be really, really handy if you get a couple of city-states that give you benefits on something that you need or require. Now, this warrior is lurking a bit closer to me, but I think Kupe is now going to offer me peace. Yeah, we don't need to be at war with them for too long. Yeah, we have a lot of grievances with them, but that's okay. We got the city. That's the main thing. That, by the way, is the Celestial Navigation boost. Got a little bit more housing in this city now, which is good. But soon we'll be able to get that harbour sorted. Severa State Workforce, that gives me another governor, and I'm thinking about going Pingala into Connoisseur in order to get more culture so that I can get my government quicker and then recorded history and defensive tactics quicker as well. We're still building a lot of population in Kyoto. That's pretty good. I still need to get all of the additional luxuries that I can pick up, but I'm also looking at the area that I can settle in this continent. If I were to settle on that part of the river, I wouldn't be able to put 2 cities down. We want to gamble here and see if I can go for the old double settlement, 1-2, like that. There's a lot of space on this map if you move quickly, and I think moving quick is what I'm going to try and do here. There's Nagoya. I'm going to rebel pretty quick, but Kyoto's loyalty is looking nice. Nagoya, not so much. One of the main reasons for the lack of loyalty is the problem with amenities. You want to keep high amenities in your cities, otherwise you get a bit of a loyalty penalty, and I need to improve some luxuries and not sell them. I think Kyoto is going to do the government plaza in a second. That means that we'll be able to lock in Magnus into this city. Nagoya. I'm going to quickly, and it feels a bit weird to do it this way around, but I'm going to pick up Magnus earlier just to lock in the loyalty of this city. Now Magnus can get moved in a little bit, and we'll be doing that very soon. I wish that I could have got Pingala's upgrade there first, but we'll get a slot once we unlock this government plaza in Kyoto. That I'm not too worried about, actually. We should be fine. Oh, this'll help. The AI is starting to improve luxuries. Keep an eye out for this. It'll mean that we can actually start buying this stuff in, improving our loyalty that way. Nagoya is now happy. Kyoto is going to be super happy as well. Perfect stuff. Next thing I want to be working on is getting towards apprenticeship. The earlier you can get on industrial zones, the more of these engineer points you can pick up, and they can be very helpful. We will get a lot of merchant points very soon as well. But you can see I'm picking up a lot of strategic resources now. The more that I can sell, the quicker I can afford my next settler or another builder or something that's going to give me a little bit more control of this central area of the map. And even better, there is an ivory resource, which again is a luxury that I can immediately sell. Look at that, 16 gold per turn. Brilliant. It's well worth doing it like this. Tokyo has the commercial hub sorted. Excellent stuff. I'm going to pick up a watermill in Tokyo first, because this will give me 1 food, 1 production, and then 2 extra food from these wheat tiles. That's 3 food in total. Lovely stuff. Here is a gypsum. That is a masonry boost for me, as well as another 18 gold per turn this time around. Oh, lovely stuff. So we have one more governor now. So Pingala is getting connoisseur like we wanted to do before. That gives me a huge amount more culture per turn. 5.9 to 11.6. Tokyo is on fire. Lovely. Yeah, there's another settler. We're going to go and pop another city down on this tile. I think it makes more sense to put it there, although admittedly popping it on the tile to the left gives me access to a Kilimanjaro tile immediately. That would be useful. Gold is at a bit of a premium right now, and doing all of these moves is expensive work, but I think that's the place that I want to be. So yeah, we'll take that for now. And now we look at governments. I would always suggest going Classical Republic unless you have a particular plan. Now, Autocracy is really good for wonder building, and if you've got a lot of government plaza and diplomatic quarter building early game. Oligarchy gives you the combat bonuses that can help you with early game war, but Classical Republic gives you more great people points as well as housing and amenities in cities cities with districts in. It's a really very easy one to do. But you can see we've got urban planning. I'm going to put a card in for builders, and then I'm going to go diplomatic league and charismatic leader. Now the double up here means that our envoys will be generating a bit quicker, and any envoy we do put down is going to give us control of a city-state much faster. It's a very handy little combo for us. Just keep selling your stuff, don't hold on to anything if you can help it, and every time you get another luxury, you can then buy it and immediately sell it for vast amounts of gold. Economy is what you're going for here. This is the economic build. We are looking for gold per turn and using that gold per turn to progress onto the map. Now I would always focus on going to recorded history as quick as you can because the governor title is useful, but also natural philosophy gives you a bunch more science from your campus adjacencies. Works very nicely indeed. But most importantly, we're going to have a look at my governors now, my envoys now, and we want to see who we want to take control of. Now in Gazagamu will discover another city-state for me if I head that way. It means I can produce units quicker in my capital. That's not very useful. Venice will generate me more gold. I like gold. I'm going to get myself another market very soon, so you know what, I'm going to put 1 point into Venice for now. I could try and claim someone like Vatican or Armagh, even Anshan, but I think for me Venice is going to be the more useful option because yeah, the extra gold is really handy. I just spent about 200 gold making sure that I have that horse tile. It gives me a culture, a science, as well as giving me loads of food in Nagoya. It'll just help me to grow the population of the city out a little bit. Population is key for loyalty pressure. It really is. And the more friends we can get, the better position we will be in. Australia wants to be my friend there, so I'm going to send them a delegation and make sure they have open borders. So I think that should be plenty. Oh, there are barbs here and they're getting tough. You should always be a little bit careful later into the game because the barbarians will start to level up and those swordsmen are tough. Not a problem for me as long as I back off, but I just want to keep all of these units nice and alive ideally. So we'll just hang on to those. Now I'm thinking of chopping these sheep in order to give myself the food to then make a harbour, but I don't think I actually need to. This city will grow naturally and that is fine. City number 3 on the central continent, that is -5 loyalty per turn unfortunately, which isn't brilliant. But I think with more population in Kyoto and Nagoya, this will stabilize fast. At least that's what I hope anyway. We're working on commercial hubs nice and quickly as well. Commercial hubs give us traders. Traders give us more benefits. Oh, Melbourne has settled right on the tile I wanted to. So that's really handy. Now as I work on a couple of these techs that are beginning the game, like masonry, ironworking would be really good to get a swordsman in. I want to get at least one unit in one of my cities that has a little bit of defensive strength. I'm just aware that this is a bit problematic if someone were to attack me right now. I'm a little bit open. We'll make do, but it's just one of these things. Actually, you know what I'm thinking? What I was going to do was make a Magnus city in Kyoto and then spam settlers from this city using Ancestral Hall, but I'm now thinking Audience Chamber might be the better option for me. Land is already at a premium. I'm not going to do a huge amount more settling. So I think Audience Chamber is going to be good. This will give me -2 loyalty in cities without governors, but what it will do is give me 2 amenities and 4 housing in cities with governors. That'll lead to a massive Tokyo and Kyoto, which I think is a good idea, so we will go for Audience Chamber. Little bit of a swing. You should always be adaptable in your strategy, like kind of play the game as you see it really. Tokyo has hit 7 population, which means we can now start to think about getting another district in this city, and I'm thinking maybe Industrial Zone would be a really good one. That would give me extra adjacency with this aqueduct when it's finished. That would be 2, 3, 4, 5, plus 5 Industrial Zone. Yeah. I like that. We said we wanted something on that tile, and I think that is a good option for me, so we'll work that in Tokyo. This city can also, once the builder's finished, get the harbour going in this tile as well, so that'll be really handy. More trade routes. It's all about the trade routes, getting them down as quickly as we can. Oh, that's a lot of destruction around Kilimanjaro again. All of my mines are broken, but I have a lot more yield on the tiles, and that's what I want to see, so that's okay. Oh, my capital now has a market though. go. That's good. That means I can finally stick a trader into this city and get a trade route that will give me double the bonuses. It'll be 4 gold, 2 science, 2 culture. That's really handy. So you can see at the moment it's food growth and infrastructure that I'm focusing on in the middle areas, but the loyalty has stabilized now. It's very, very handy, and Magnus can almost get put to Kyoto. That'll give me massive comfort. You can see as well that Coupe's grievances have disappeared. I can start making friends with people. Australia have officially made friends, and you can see Coupe is only -2, Egypt is only -8. Coupe is the one that I'm a little bit afraid of because these horsemen are just running around. What I might like to do is flatter them a little bit. If I can give them gifts, they may like me a little better, but at the moment I'm getting serious gold from everything else, so I just don't need to rush that element of it. But here's a trader. You can see Tokyo, 2 food, 2 production, 4 gold, 2 science, 2 culture. I mean, it's awesome. Coupe is going to go and settle on my continent. Now, this is a bit annoying, but if the AI does forward settle you, it's not the end of the world. Don't worry about it. It happens. Oh, just go and nab a builder there. Perfect. Oh, I love when the AI does that. Just doesn't hang on to their stuff. Yeah, if you see the AI do things like that, don't stress about it. You can very easily take cities with loyalty, especially around your capital. Coupe will forward settle you all the time, and chances are you'll just put it into a place that's quite useful, really. And finally, a very special shout out goes to Glorious Petra, I Am, Salty Tech, Matthew Wilkinson, Paul Coffey, Doughboy91, Seancrates, Portland, Scott Stratton, Major King Kong, Davalex, Skeptical Bear, Kroger Brand Trail Mix, Alex Noob, Cinnamon Beard, Petra Ryan, Matthew Hatch, Amiri C, Henry, Rom88, Radiatore, Private Selection, Genoa Salami, Boy Zorro, Callum Billy, Garrett Gowan, Polar Bear Ray, El Truand, Creston, RB Hedge, Mushkin Mandletort, Esri Dax. Thank you for all of your support. Cheers!